My name is Alexa. I am 29 years old. I live alone in a villa in Monaco, right on the water, and I want you to understand something before I tell you this story. I built every single thing in my life by myself. No handouts, no help. No one standing in my corner telling me I could do it. Just me, a laptop, 3 years of barely sleeping, and a business that grew into something I never even let myself dream about when I was 17. Living in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in Columbus, Ohio, sharing a mattress with my younger sister because we did not have enough beds. I say that not for sympathy. I say it because you need to know where I came from to understand why what happened last Tuesday hit me the way it did. I had just come back from a week-long trip through Europe, Paris, Florence, Zurich, then finally back to Monaco, and I was tired in that deep, good way. The kind trees wait than miles, the condast, but your soul feels full. I pulled up to my front gate just after 7 in the evening, the sun still sitting low and orange over the water, and there they were, my parents, and my sister Danielle, standing at my door like they had been there a while, luggage at their feet. My mother holding a little travel bag close to her chest, the way she always does when she is nervous. I sat in my car for a full 30 seconds before I got out. I want you to think about that. 30 seconds where my whole body just went still. Because these were not people I had an easy relationship with. These were not people who called on my birthday. My father, Ray, had told me when I was 22 that I was chasing a fantasy and that I needed to come back home, get a real job, and stop embarrassing the family by thinking I was better than everyone. My mother, Linda, had not said a word in my defense. Not one word. And Danielle, my little sister, who I had protected and shared that mattress with, had called me selfish in a group text 2 years ago because I did not fly home for Christmas the year my company was in the middle of its biggest deal. I had sent her $500 for the holiday. She sent back a voice memo telling me money was not the same as showing up. I had not responded. That was the last real conversation we had. So when I stepped out of that car and walked toward my own front door, I kept my face completely calm. My mother smiled first. She said, "Oh, sweetheart, we heard the news. We have been thinking about you so much." My father put his hands in his pockets and nodded the way men do when they want to seem casual, but they are actually very uncomfortable. Danielle looked at the villa behind me and then looked at me and said, "Alexa, this is insane. This is actually insane." I said, "How did you get this address?" My mother said, "Well, your cousin Marcus mentioned it, and we just thought, we are family, we should see each other. We have been talking, and we think it is time to put everything behind us." I looked at the 3 of them standing there with their luggage, and I made a decision in that moment that I did not announce. I did not say anything sharp. I did not get emotional. I just said, "Come in." And the second they walked through that front door, all 3 of them stopped walking. My father's mouth opened slightly. My mother put her hand over her chest. Danielle made a sound I cannot describe, somewhere between a gasp and a whisper. The entryway alone is bigger than the apartment we all grew up in. There is a curved staircase, white marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows looking straight out onto the water, and artwork on the walls that cost more than my father made in 10 years at his job. I watched their faces, and I felt something I had not expected to feel. Not pride, not satisfaction. Something quieter than both of those things. I just let them look. I did not explain anything. I walked past them toward the kitchen and said, "I will get you some water." My mother said, "Alexa, baby, how?" She could not even finish the sentence. And what I did not tell her right then, what I did not tell any of them, was that they had no idea what they had actually just walked into, because the villa was only the beginning of what they were about to find out. I set 3 glasses of water on the kitchen counter and watched them walk slowly through the main room like they were moving through a dream they were not sure was real. My father ran his hand along the edge of the marble island without saying anything. My mother had stopped near the window and was just staring out at the water, the last of the evening light hitting her face. And for a second, she looked exactly like the woman I remembered from when I was 7 years old, before things got hard, before the silence became the loudest thing in our house. Danielle had her phone out. She was taking pictures, not of me, of the villa. I noticed that. I noticed all of it, and I said nothing. I asked if they were hungry. My mother said yes before anyone else could speak. I ordered food from a place down the road because I was not about to perform a home-cooked meal for people who had not called me in 14 months. While we waited, I sat across from my father at the dining table, and he cleared his throat and said, "You have done real well for yourself, Alexa. I will give you that." I want you to hear how he said it. Not, "I am proud of you." Not, "I was wrong. I will give you that." Like he was handing me something from his own pocket. Like my life was a point he was conceding in an argument. I said thank you and picked up my glass. My mother jumped in fast the way she always does when she senses tension, filling the air with small talk, asking about the weather in Monaco, asking if I knew any Americans nearby, asking if I was seeing anyone. Danielle put her phone down and said, "Mom already told everyone back home, by the way. She posted about it on Facebook." I looked at my mother. She looked slightly guilty, but mostly pleased with herself. She said, "Well, people ask about you. I just said you were doing well." I said, "What exactly did you post?" She waved her hand and said, "Just that our daughter has a beautiful home in Europe, nothing crazy." I nodded. I picked up my phone and pulled up her Facebook page right there at the table, and the post had 412 likes and a caption that said, "So proud of our Alexa. She always made us so proud. Family is everything." I read it twice. Family is everything. I put my phone face down on the table. The food came and we ate, and my father started talking about back home, about how things had gotten expensive, about how the apartment complex they were renting in had raised the rent again, and then he said it. The thing I had been waiting for since the moment I saw them at my gate. He said, "We were thinking, since you have all this space, it might make sense for us to stay a while, help you out around the place, keep you company." My mother added quickly, "Just until we figure some things out, no pressure at all." Danielle did not say anything. She was looking at me in a way that was hard to read, somewhere between hoping and bracing. I put my fork down. I looked at my father and I said, "How long is a while?" He shrugged and said, "Few months maybe, see how it goes." I said, "Okay." I said I needed to think about it and I would let them know in the morning. My mother looked relieved. My father nodded like it was already decided. I showed them to the guest rooms, 2 of them on the 2nd floor, and said goodnight. I went to my room, closed the door, sat on the edge of my bed, and opened my laptop. Not because I had work to do, because I needed to look at something. I pulled up a folder I had not opened in almost 2 years. Inside it were screenshots, emails, voice memos, and one document I had typed up myself at 2 in the morning on a night I was so hurt I could not sleep. It was a record. Every time I had asked for support and been dismissed. Every harsh thing said to me. Every harsh thing I spent alone because going home felt worse than staying away. Every time I wired money to that family and received silence in return. I read through it slowly. And then I opened a new document and I started writing. Not a letter, not an explanation, something else entirely. Something they were going to see with their own eyes before they left this villa. Because I had decided something at that dining table that I did not say out loud. I was going to let them stay, and I was going to let them see everything. I did not sleep much that night. I lay there listening to the sound of the water outside my window, and I thought about every version of how the next morning could go. I could be soft. I could be cold. I could sit them down and go line by line through everything I had written in that document and watch their faces change. But by the time the sun came up, I had decided none of those were right. I got up early, made coffee, and by 8 in the morning, I had sent 3 emails, one to my attorney, one to my property manager, and one to a woman named Claire who handles a specific part of my business that my family knew absolutely nothing about. I was calm. That is the part I want you to understand. I was not shaking. I was not rehearsing speeches in the mirror. I was just calm the way you get calm when you finally stop waiting for something and start doing it. My mother came downstairs first, around 9, in her robe, looking comfortable already, touching things in my kitchen like she was getting familiar with the place she planned to stay. She said, "Good morning, baby," and poured herself coffee like she lived there. My father came down 20 minutes later. Danielle came last, hair messy, phone already in her hand. We sat at that same table from the night before, and my mother started talking about which room she liked best and whether the second guest room got good light in the morning, and I let her talk. I let her finish, and then I slid a single piece of paper across the table. My father looked at it first. His face changed. My mother leaned over to read it and went very quiet. It was not a letter. It was a printed summary from my attorney outlining the terms under which guests could remain at the property and for how long, and at the bottom, a single paragraph about a trust I had established 2 years ago that outlined specifically and legally that no family member was entitled to residency, financial support, or any stake in any asset I owned. I had written it after the group text, after Danielle's voice memo, after my father's last phone call where he had asked me to co-sign a loan, and when I said I needed time to think, he had said I had changed, and not in a good way. I had never told them about the trust. I had just quietly protected myself and moved on. My father said, "What is this?" I said, "It is just something I want you to be aware of before we talk about you staying here." My mother said, "Alexa, we are your family. You do not need a lawyer between us." I said, "I know." And then I opened my laptop and turned it around so they could see the screen. It was a video, a recorded call. 14 months ago, my cousin Marcus had called me to tell me that my father had been telling people in the family that my business was probably not legal, that nobody makes that kind of money clean, and that I had most likely gotten involved with the wrong people. My mother had been in the room during that conversation. She had not corrected him. The video was Marcus telling me this on record because he felt I deserved to know. I watched my father's face while the video played. I watched my mother fold her hands in her lap. Danielle put her phone face down on the table and did not pick it up again. When it finished, I closed the laptop. Nobody said anything for a long time. Then my father said, "That was taken out of context." I said, "I am not angry," and I meant it. I said, "I did not show you that to hurt you. I showed you that because I want you to understand why I built everything the way I did, why I have an attorney, why I have a trust, why I spent years making sure that no matter what happened with this family, I would be okay." My mother had tears on her face, real ones. She said, "We did not know how to handle your success, Alexa. We were scared of losing you." I looked at her for a long moment. I said, "You lost me when you stayed quiet." There was nothing left to argue after that. They left the next morning, all 3 of them. No drama, no shouting, just luggage at the door and a silence that felt different from every silence before it, because this one was mine. I stood at that window after they drove away and looked out at the water, and I thought about that 17-year-old girl on that shared mattress, and I said out loud to nobody, "You did good." And I meant every word.